world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
This episode is brought to you by Stouffer's. Here comes three-time juggling champion Natalia Rogers. She's juggling law school, her TA job. Oh, narrowly catches the laundry. What's that fourth ball? Parents unexpectedly showed up at dinner time? Is that too much for Natalia? Not with Stouffer's Chicken Alfredo and its mouth-watering mix of Asiago, Romano, and Parmesan. When you're juggling four things at once and the clock strikes dinner, think Stouffer's.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Thanks for listening to No Question About That. You can support this show by visiting patreon.com/NQATpod or in your Apple podcast feed. We do a backer show each week going deep dive into a topic related to United. Or if you don't want to part with your cash, an even better way is to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And now on with the show. Welcome to No Question About That. This is the Weekend Pod with Daniel Ahmed. How's it going, Dan?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. A win for Manchester United. Look, at this stage, after 10 years, 12 years of this, having United not ruin my weekend is a bonus. So I'm 49 years old, Daniel, and United lose. I'm pissed off for days. It's fucking ridiculous, and I still act like a child when United are shit. So we were not entirely shit yesterday, which is a bonus. Anyway, we're going to talk about the game. We'll talk a little bit about the transfer moves, what's happened, what might happen in the next day, 26 hours as we're recording this, of the transfer market. And then a little word for the women's team who are involved in a very convoluted qualification process for the Women's Champions League. And looks like they've got a very good chance of making it. So, all right, United 3.
But before we start, should laugh. Let's laugh at City, who are below United in the league, are they not?
They are.
And do you know what, Edward? The only man who, in my experience of football, not left behind by tactics is the man the tacticos say didn't fucking have any.
Yeah.
What about that?
It's amazing how, this is the weekend when Jose Mourinho was sacked. And Ollie. Sorry, Ollie. Bad luck, mate.
Well,
he actually had a good record.
Genuinely unlucky.
I know, he had a good record, and they've sacked him on the basis of one shitty qualification game against Lausanne, Sir Jim's team. That's a bit rather painful, Ollie. But yeah, no, managers always get left behind. Just always. Look at Jose. He just has not been able to adapt. And so few can. And some of them who last decades and go along with the flow and were always derided for what they managed to achieve, evolved. It's not for everyone, Dan. Anyway, yeah, Pep is really struggling. They got completely undone in the fullback areas today. City only spent, £400 million since January. Apparently that has not fixed their problems. It needs to spend some more.
I think we said it at the end of the first week that, they battered Wolves, but it was Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so weird if you think about it. Like Arsenal and Liverpool playing as we're recording, but if you think about how much money has been spent by the teams at the top of the league, none of them are any good. I mean,
yeah.
If you like the City team that won the last good City team, so the one from the season before last, would absolutely wipe the floor with all the teams here.
Yeah, they're all flawed. Yeah. It's interesting what all of them have done, actually, because, I mean, Arsenal, you'd say, have brought in a lot of good players. Will they all knit together? Does it make sense? Actually, the biggest question for me with Arsenal is, can Arteta get over himself and actually make them into a more attacking side? When's the last really defensive side that won the league? I mean, they've got so much attacking talent there, and yet he can't get out of his own way. And then Slot has extremely radically evolved Liverpool, a title-winning side. That's a hell of a risk, right? Hell of a risk. And they look very open in midfield at the moment.
Yeah, sort of, in that he will know that the side that won the league. You would think, if we know the side that won the league wasn't actually that good, he must know that.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's quite strange to go from two fullbacks that can't defend to other fullbacks that can't defend, and so on.
Well, yeah, I mean, it looks like Ten Hag ball, just with better players.
And he is apparently in trouble already. Leverkusen thinking about hoofing him out of there.
It's brilliant. I wish nothing but misery and suffering, career-wise, on Ten Hag. I mean, obviously, personally, I don't wish him any suffering, or not much.
What a mensch you are, Edwards. 49 years of age. You...
Are we going to keep going on about this now?
A mere 46 over here, a young stripling.
I know. When I hit the big one, I'm just going to reset the clock, go back to 30. Just add the soft focus on the camera and no one's going to know.
Actually, last week I discovered that it was 40 years since I went to my first United game, which was West Ham at home in the 10-game run, wins at the beginning of the season.
Oh.
Yeah, that was good.
All right, United 3, Burnley 2. Yeah, this was interesting. Because, all right, well, I don't know where to start with this one, actually, because United actually started this game pretty well. I mean, aggressively on the front foot. 5 minutes in, basically already created 2 or 3 chances. But the way we approached this game was basically just very direct. I mean, it was very clearly instructional to, as soon as they got the ball into any midfield space, to hit the diagonals into the channel for Brian Mbumo, who was able to, as Amoirim said, stretch the game. These are the best moments under Amoirim, when they go a bit more direct. It's just interesting to see whether this is actually where we're evolving the team now, or just a one-game process. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the way that we played yesterday will work against the better teams, in that we won't win the second balls against everyone. Like Mount and Ahmad were winning second balls, and they're doing it really well. But that doesn't mean against more physical teams they'll be able to do that. So, I mean, I'm not criticising it because we won the game. That we didn't win it easily, I think, is harsh to say would be the fault of the system, although we will talk about the system today and more in the tactics pod too. But it's not his fault that United couldn't finish properly, and it's not his fault that he's been left with literally the 2 worst goalkeepers I've ever seen. And they keep cycling. And this is because we've been talking about this for years now. The classic of the post-Fergie wilderness years, where you cycle between players that aren't good enough, and you play some for a bit, and then they cover themselves in shit, and then you play whoever you've got instead of them. Round and round we go. But the dance with these 2 keepers is fucking brilliant. I mean, and watching the game also, when it is 1-0, I was watching it with a few other people, and we knew what was going to happen. We knew that Burnley were going to score, and I was almost relieved when they equalised, because there was enough time to go and do something about it. But we've seen these games a lot, but on the other hand, United did play some good football, and I'm beginning to wonder actually if you can legitimately get Bruno, Cunha, and Bumo and a centre forward in the same team. I'm not sure.
Well, we're going to see it a lot. We are going to see it a lot. I mean, I don't think Bruno and Cunha are getting into each other's zones. I don't think that's a problem.
No, it's not about that. No. It's balance.
It's about the balance, yeah. I mean, look, clearly it's instructional. What he's using Bruno to do this season, given that he's such an all-round player, so he's going to put up huge numbers on ball progression and on interceptions and tackles and recoveries. And he did yesterday, right? He looks just like a complete all-round midfielder, but he's going to use him to progress the ball, because we are a man short in there. And so this tactic of going a bit more direct, which we saw in the opening 20 minutes against Arsenal will work against many teams. It will not work against teams who are physical and defend. And it didn't work against Saliba against Arsenal, right? And they had to change up the approach during that game as a result, right?
It worked in parts. And I think also in that game, we need to remember that Mbeumo had barely played by then.
Yeah.
And he was, I thought, the best player on the pitch yesterday.
Yeah.
And was only Burnley, but I think we're seeing. I mean, I've criticised Amoirim or whoever signed off on it hit in this pod for. I would have spent the Mbeumo money on a midfield player and put Bruno there with Cunha, because Cunha was someone I'd always thought was a better player than Mbeumo.
Mm-hmm.
But then watching it yesterday, part of me was thinking, well, actually, Bruno's probably a better partner for Mbeumo in that area, because Mbeumo will stretch the play, and Bruno will come towards the play, just as Cunha would.
Yeah.
And I mean, we might be about to see that. Not sure what's going to happen. I mean, it feels more like if Cunha's still out at the end of the international break, it just means Mount probably playing there rather than Bruno.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be tempted, of course, to move Bruno forward and bring Kobbie Mainoo into midfield. We'll see what happens with him. We'll talk about that in a bit in the transfer section of the pod. And but Mount for many reasons, but one of the reasons is that you can rely on him to lead the press trigger, right? So he will do that. United make a lot of high recoveries. That's part of the strategy this season. Second balls, but also high recoveries on pressing, which we saw actually yesterday. So you can see why Amorim loves him. Don't love his creativity. Don't think he's very reliable as in terms of output. He never has been in terms of his career, and he gets injured all the time, as we saw yesterday as well. So it is interesting. I mean, as it stands, I mean, you see a lot of people online moaning about Bruno because he gives the ball away. That's instruction. He's asked to move the ball forward quickly, and if he wasn't in the team, our chance creation would just dry up. And at the moment, we don't have a solution for that. I mean, if the long-term thing is that we're going to sell Bruno next summer in order to bring in one or two more midfielders, it might get to the point where we have some more midfield balance, maybe, but they have to solve the chance creation problem at the moment because it's still all him. So,
yes,
as it was yesterday, 7 chances created.
Also Mount, I think Mount was also, and Ahmad also played well, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when you look at the way we played yesterday, when you talked about transitions, we should be shit hot when possession changes over. But what we need to do is kind of try and create some transitions for ourselves by winning the ball in challenges, and we're a lot less good at that. Partly because we're kind of leaving out, we're not really contesting the middle of the pitch in some areas, we're just moving away from it.
Yeah.
And to not sign a midfield player in this window would be total dereliction of duty. Because what we're also trying to do is we're trying to progress the ball down sides of the pitch, and the players that we have there aren't that good. But also, the best teams play through the middle as well. Why would you say we're not going to bother doing that? And the only way that's going to really be possible is with another player. And when you look at our formation, if you think about 3-4-3 anyway, you're outnumbered in midfield, in theory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever you do with your inverting centre-back and your dropping 10s, you're outnumbered in midfield. But we're outnumbered in midfield with guys that either can't run or have no physical presence.
Mm-hmm.
So that issue is exacerbated, and we find ourselves in the second half getting into a basketball match with the team that I think will finish bottom.
Yeah. It's going to happen a lot. Unfortunately, this is by design, and I mean, I don't think that's what the manager wants to see. Well, I mean, as in, this is the shape, right? So you're trading off wide overloads with your 10s and your wing backs for lack of bodies in the middle of the pitch. The risk is in the counter transition against you, right? Always, because you're going to be outnumbered there. As Iwobi, correctly identified the risk, but not that Fulham actually pulled it off, right? In that you can get behind United's midfielders, right?
Yeah, they did really over-egg.
They really over-egged
in that game.
Yeah, so the manager wants physical monsters in the midfield. That is why. I mean, he's made the decision this year to pull Bruno back because he believes that's the only way he'll be able to get the ball forward. That's probably correct. He's changed Casemiro's position to be much more defensive or much more disciplined, I would say. And then clearly they were looking for Baleba, who's a player who's started the season pretty badly, actually, but has the physical attributes that he might want. And then he doesn't trust Kobbie Mainoo because he doesn't get around the pitch in quite the same way. And that's what we're left, right? We're left with no combinations of midfielders that are going to work this season, and he's going to compromise in every single game as a result, both on what he wants, as he calls it, his principles, right? And in terms of like his idealized 11, right? We could see a lot of change next summer as well. We probably will. But a lot of that will depend on, can he survive a difficult start to the season? Because I know we got the win yesterday and we're all delighted with that. But fuck me, the next 6 or 7 games are hard ones, right? And the pressure is going to mount up again pretty quickly. And can United get back into Europe where we actually have the money to spend in the way we want? Because if we don't, some of our favourites will be leaving, right? So, and that is the long-term challenge. The challenge for this game is, you're right, it just turned into a basketball game. And fortunately, we've got better players than they do. And they made just an unbelievably stupid decision, the defender to pull over Ahmad in the 95th minute. I mean, just mental.
It's one where I did think, though, in some ways, the manager was a little bit vindicated, because forgetting what a knob Garnacho may or may not have been, you watched Mbeumo play yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the difference between them is enormous.
Yeah, well, it's the ability to stretch the game. Garnacho does that the same, but the output is
it's just an interesting player, Mbeumo,
right?
because he's not the kind of winger that at United we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
He's not twinkle-toed. He's not looking to get to the byline. He's not like a beautiful footballer in the way, say, that Ryan Giggs was. But he's more of a Mo Salah style player, I think, where his numbers, like, he's just going to keep creating scoring opportunities, and if he takes as many as he did for Brentford in the last season, he's going to be a massive success, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's someone, as I've said before, I always thought was a good player, never coveted, but actually watching him the last, like, I mean, I know it's only Burnley, but I think he probably is a better player than I thought he was. And we also got to remember that he had disappointment midweek and missing the clinching penalty, and it didn't seem to bother him. He just got on with it, and he comes across as just a serious sportsman.
Mm-hmm.
And Garnacho doesn't.
No, I absolutely. I mean, Garnacho is a child, and we'll see whether Maresca and Chelsea can help him mature. I wouldn't say it was the best development environment, but that's his choice. And yes, I agree with you. Mbeumo will be a success. He's going to be a success in this kind of system. United will keep creating chances for him. He will be the outlet as long as he's still fit. The balance there with having a target man central pivot when Sesko is finally up and running and fit, with a player that drops in Cunha and Mbeumo who can stretch the game, that looks good as a forward line. I think that is pretty balanced. There's plenty of options there when we need it, with Mount and Xerxes, and Bruno can also play further forward. I do think there's not necessarily a replacement for Mbeumo. I guess it's Ahmad, but then you have to play fucking Dalot, and no one needs to see that ever.
Sounds like a good game, yeah.
Yeah. Deary me. What do we make of the goals then, both for and against?
I mean, this was hilarious that before we scored the first goal, we'd scored our XG was 5.74 in the league before, and we'd scored none. And even the first goal was an own goal. And it's really because we see all the pressure that Amorim's under, and it's kind of reasonable. But at the same time, talking about the goals, if we could finish, we would have beaten Arsenal, probably, definitely beaten Fulham, and would have put this game to bed as well. And that's even before we say, if they just have given him a merely competent goalkeeper. Now, I'm not saying that would have made the performance in the second half against Fulham any better than it was. And I must say, after the Fulham game, I felt more pissed off with it than I had for quite a long time. Because I guess that was the realisation that, oh, fuck, it's going to be another one of these seasons, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
He would be under no pressure whatsoever. Well, apart from the pressure that you're under as United manager, if they had just got him a goalkeeper. Because we wouldn't have lost to Arsenal.
Wouldn't have lost to Grimsby.
We'd only lost to Grimsby.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have won comfortably probably yesterday too.
Mm-hmm.
And so for all our complaints about the system, and we're going to complain a bit more, I'm sure, about that in what's to come, at the same time, just getting him a goalkeeper, a competent goalkeeper. And I'm not even asking for the best goalkeeper around. I'd like it, but just someone that doesn't drop a bollock every
game. Yeah.
Every fucking game. And that's all that... and United would be doing absolutely fine currently if it was just that, and we wouldn't even be talking that much about the system, even though you watch the games and you wonder about the system.
Yeah, I think that is all fair. I think we're going to be talking about the system, or Aaron rejects this totally, but he's rejecting the evidence of his own eyes, right? We know the problems it creates, and with this group of players, he's not able to solve it. He won't solve it. He'll just keep swapping around midfielders, and his compromise at the moment is to go more direct, which is a perfectly fair compromise. It's just not going to work against some teams, so we can complain about that. But yes, the club should have 2 months ago because this was entirely predictable, should have got another keeper. We should not be doing this on deadline day, which is what we're doing, and trying to juggle around keepers. And neither of them, Martinez or Lamans, may come off because presumably it's about getting rid of one of the other two goalkeepers as well, or maybe both of them. And that may not happen either, right? It should not be August the 31st, and trying to make that decision should have been before pre-season, so we could have solved this problem before.
In January even. It was just so obviously necessary. But what you say about going direct also, I saw an interview with John Terry the other day, and he was saying they'd always, every time the goalkeeper got the ball, they'd think about passing it out, and then they'd think, what the fuck are we doing? And Cech was good enough to pick out Drogba, and they whack it to his chest, and they go from there. And we've now got a centre forward of whom that might be true. We'll have to wait and see what his touch is like. But his leaps are just astonishing. I mean, he should have scored yesterday, and he actually missed time. Yeah. He missed times to jump, I think, and he gets up too early. But once he's up, he stays up for quite some time. And
does he now? Well, what about his jumping, Daniel?
Exactly. He's a shagger. Yeah,
I'm sure he is, no doubt. He's Ronaldo-esque in his leap and hang, isn't he? And it should get us some cheap goals this season once he's settled in the team. Not that cheap, yeah. Man. Easy goals.
50 million, yeah.
Yeah, I am looking forward to Mbeumo to the back stick to Sesko to score, which he should have done yesterday. And already hit pieces. Jim White, come on, he's a United fan. He wrote a rather negative piece about Sesko, and the Telegraph was a bit kind of pointless.
But anyway, we've seen him play. I mean,
I know. Yeah, we've seen very little of him. I thought he'd had a proper pre-season, but apparently he didn't get any 90s in pre-season, which is, of course, true of several United players as well. The pre-season was not... I'm not sure it was entirely well planned.
It felt like we needed a couple more matches.
It felt like we needed a match or two more because no one really got that full 90, yeah. So we had the own goal for the first one, and then what did we get? The Foster goal came after that. Dalot doesn't get out close enough.
But even before that, we're not getting out to the men in midfield.
No.
We're not getting to the ball quickly enough, and it's that which enables them to get the ball wide, I think.
Our pressing system is we press from the front. If that misses out, that's not going to happen in midfield, and so we drop back very quickly, right? But whoever we play in those wide areas,
defenders sort of come forward, and then they get in a tangle, having to get back.
Yeah,
because how can we press in midfield? We can't.
It always used to. We can't. It's not going to happen. We always used to. It was old school teaching that the fullback gets out to the ball to block the cross. Clearly, none of our wing-back, full-backs understand that one. Dalot got absolutely nowhere near it. There's an interesting moment, if you look at it again, where De Ligt and Shaw are discussing who is in the right position and swap over in the middle of that phase of play. Not great defending, I have to say. And Lloris really left covering a lot of space. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good ball.
Good ball, but yeah, entirely defendable, but good ball. And then we get the Mbeumo goal. I think he's going to get a lot of goals like that. He's very, as you say, very out-to-in player. He's going to get in good positions. As we saw with Grimsby the other night, that was a lovely goal as well.
Yeah, that was great. Scores. I mean, he actually gets a little bit lucky with this one. It goes through the defender's legs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just an inch to either side, probably, and it's hitting the leg. And he looks silly. But even before the goal, we should have gone 2-0 up before half-time, where we come forward. That was maybe our best move of the game on the counter.
And Ahmad misses, yeah.
When he squares it to Ahmad. And Ahmad, I mean, that was... Yeah, Ahmad basically allows it across his body because he's desperate to finish it on his left foot, where any kind of working right foot, you step in on that and you should score. That was a really
back the wrong way and you score.
Really bad decision from Ahmad. That, but yeah, I mean, I guess it showed some kind of character that they equalised and we go straight down the other end and score, which that wasn't something I particularly expected to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think, before we move on, by the way, did you think that the foul on Mount that was given as a penalty and called back and then taken away, do you think that was a penalty?
I think that's a penalty. And what they said in the VAR review was not a foul, right? I don't know what commentary you were listening to, but co-coms was focused very much on Mount trying to hand off Walker, and did he have a hand on his shirt? I mean, it's barely a tickle. He did.
He was pulling the shot. I didn't think that the explanation was elucidating in any way. Like for me, I could take either on that one, foul, not a foul, because it's sort of one of those situations where kind of contact like that, I don't mind it being in the game and decisions not being given when it happens. So, but I mean, when I saw it, I thought this might be turned over, but at the same time, I felt like it's really hard to work out exactly what's happened in that situation, because although you can see some of what's happened, you can't really understand the contact between the two. So,
yeah, I think the reason why, and not that I'm a referee or claim to be an expert here, if I was refereeing that, I'd given it, is he just gets goal side. I mean, what is Walker going to do other than foul there? He's just got in the wrong position, or Mount's got in the right position. He's beaten his man. The attempted handoff is fairly normal, but the contact between Walker, the contact from Walker on Mount is much larger, orders of magnitude greater than the other way round. So for me, that's a fairly obvious foul. I don't think we'd discuss it for a moment if it's not in the penalty area. It would have just been given and we'd have moved on as an obvious foul. So.
And that brings us back to the point that we make every single time here, that fouls that yield penalties are generally not worth 80% chance to goal.
Well, that is very true. Yes, I've come round to your argument on this one. I think most of them should be direct free kicks. I also actually there's a discussion while we're talking about penalties and VAR and all of that Arsene Wenger, in his large football brain, because he always wants to change the rules, there's a discussion around stopping follow-ups so that penalties look more like penalties in a shootout, and you just get the one chance, not more than one chance, because that's the other thing, right? If the keeper saves it, it often comes straight out to a forward you can score.
Quite rare, I'd say.
Yeah, but it is one of those things where it fundamentally change the game or not. But yes, I mean, I'm with probably 90% of football fans in that I'd just rather just bin VAR at this moment. Or the other, if they absolutely have to keep VAR, they absolutely want it, to either roll it back to the system that is used across most of the Champions League and other leagues, which is, again, to try and stop the howlers, right? Not to forensically look for any micro foul at any point, to try and stop the howlers, or move to a DRS style challenge system in which you get one challenger half or something like that. And if you think that's completely egregious, you use your challenge up and then it's done unless you're right?
The difficulty with that is then you might get a crucial goal that everyone knows isn't a goal, and you have to just let it be.
You might have to let it be, but you would if referees were just refereeing. There would be crucial goals that you might just have to let it go. If Drogba is 75 yards offside when he scores for Chelsea, and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes, but the difference is that we've got the technology to see exactly, and we're using it in the game. And obviously that happens in cricket as well. But in cricket, the decisions are generally not as clear cut. I don't know. I mean, there was also. Do you see what Scott E. Parker said?
What did he say?
Way, what on earth is going on with his eyebrow? Very, very. My daughter was what says. Why is that guy's face a different color from his neck? Also a good question. But his eyebrow, his right eyebrow. I think I don't know what's going on with that. But so he was complaining about the penalty that United get at the end, saying the game's gone, basically. It's been decided by men 500 miles away in a truck. Yet not so loquacious about the penalty that those self-same men took away from United. I mean, yeah. I mean, he is so singularly unimpressive, that individual.
Very, very much. Everything about him. Yeah.
But before that, obviously, we got Burnley's second equaliser, which was... I mean, what I loved about this was after it goes in, it's like halfway into the stand almost, Bayindir diving into the back of the net to try and haul it out.
Yeah, because that will work these days. That actually, goal line tech and the semi-automated offside do work. They work very well. The VAR did not review the offside Burnley goal, by the way. It was already given. It was just a check because the margins were so small. We can argue whether we like that or not, but I think the tech does work pretty well. But yeah, Bayindir trying to claw one out of the back of the net was completely pointless. Limp-wristed fucker before that as well, just palming it straight in front of him.
I mean, watching Anana, how many in the penalty shootout as well, talking of wrists, how many does he get hands to and not keep out? It's got wrists made of Rice Krispies, that guy.
Four of them he got hands to and didn't keep out. Yeah, both of them. I don't know what they're doing with their wrists, but they're not exercising them enough. I know that.
What would you prescribe, Edward?
6 sessions a day on the squeezy things. I've got those. The hand grip squeezy things.
I thought we were taking it back to 13.
Jesus, 6 sessions a day. Yeah, I can pump it up to £130. What's that in real money? About 50 kilograms of pressure, and you just keep doing this. Yeah, there you go. Strong wrists, me. Oh, but yeah, it was just a horrendous mess, just pathetic.
Because it's also after the is it a header or a shot? I can't remember now. But it takes 2 further deflections before it goes in as well.
Off Mainu and then keeper Mainu, Burnley player goal. Which order was it? It was like, it was. There was that moment in the Grimsby game as well where United are attacking and they're trying to score at the end, and it's just like 16 players inside the 6-yard box, and it really looks like a 4th division game. But yeah, this was a horrible mess. But United did push for the winner. Got a lot of attacking players on by the end of the game, including Sesko.
They also made fucking sure they got the penalty. It would have been quite easy for the officials to let that go if Ahmad hadn't made a massive fuss, I think.
Massive fuss about it, yeah. I mean, it is the right call because the foul continues into the box.
I actually thought, once they showed the replay, I was surprised it took so long to make the decision, because there was one shot where you can see he's pulling the shirt because the shirt's away from the body, and you can see Ahmad's foot in the box. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, well, I didn't think it's definitely going to be a penalty because you can't trust the system. But I thought, yeah, that is a penalty. There's no way that anyone could sensibly argue that isn't a penalty. It's soft, but there was that one shot and you saw it. But yeah, foot in the area, shirt away from body, that's a penalty.
Yeah, and I do think I don't know whether that's a good rule change. I mean, it's a few years ago they did this now. I mean, under the old rules, that would not have been a penalty because the first foul is outside the box, but they changed it so if it continues, it is a foul. So I think that's fair enough. And then Bruno steps up and scores. Scored in the shootout the other day twice. Missed the one against Fulham. You could see he was
nervous because I felt like the penalty he took is the penalty you take when you're fucking nervous. The simplest penalty to hit is across the body, low into the corner.
Yeah.
And I mean, not that I'm comparing myself to. If I ever took a penalty in the penalty shootout, it's going there, because that is the one I'm least likely to fuck up, and anyone is least likely. And you have also the most leeway, I think. I mean, I was interested that what's strange was he didn't hit it with his laces; he hit it with the inside of his foot, and that sort of makes it a little bit more likely that the keeper can save it because it's not going as hard. But I mean, yeah, he must have been absolutely fucking bricking it. So.
It took a long time. Yeah, I did think for a moment that he might be just holding the ball and then would hand it off to Mbeumo at the last minute.
Right, but he missed one the other day.
He did miss one the other day as well. Yeah, he's got a good penalty record actually in Mbeumo, but
I think that was his first miss, wasn't it?
Was that his first ever miss? Yeah. It won't even count because it's in a shootout. So there you go in the stats. But it's a win. A win's a win. A win is a win. It's a win. Desperately, God, the fallout if United had lost that going into the international break would have been, the meltdown would have been massive, both in the social media and amongst fans. And much was made of Grimsby, the fans not singing the Amoirim song they did yesterday for most of the game. So, he still has a lot of backing. I have my doubts. I like him as a man. I'd love to have a pint with him. He is honest to a fault, I think. He shows too much emotion sometimes. I mean, I know this is a very different scenario and football is an emotional game and that's why we love it because we're all invested, right? But I've worked with a lot of executives. They're never like that. The calmness under pressure is an important thing. And I hope that when he's communicating what he wants at Carrington, that it's not heart on the sleeve losing it all the time, because he really did kind of lose it after Grimsby. He pulled it back on Friday. I thought he did a good press conference on Friday and he was very clear about what he wanted and what he meant.
I thought, I hated the hiding in the dugout for the penalties.
Just bad. It's such a bad look. Yeah.
Like, don't fucking do that. Like, get on the touchline and be there for your team. Yeah, I don't like them not looking for penalties anyway. I think it's pathetic. Mm-hmm. But cowering in the dugout in the rain was very Wally with the brolly.
It was very, yeah.
And I just felt like you're better than that. It just made you look like a total pussy, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Like, what are you scared
that and
of?
fiddling with the tactics board, because it was not that fiddling with the tactics board was not, hey, I'm coming up with a solution. It was, I don't want to look at the game. I'm going to fiddle with it in a way that, a kid might fiddle with a Rubik's Cube or something if there's some difficult thing they have to deal with. I mean, it was just like, he was just like, I can't deal with this. So I didn't like that at all. He and the suggestion in the post-match interviews that he might quit. Well, is that going to instill confidence either up the chain with the executives or into his team? Of course not. If they think he might quit, they might quit. I mean, fuck's sake.
I don't think I would have fired him for Grimsby, but if I'm a suit at United, I'm having him on the carpet after that game, and I want to know I want to understand the plan and why he thinks it's going to work. I want to ask him some questions about it, because I don't feel confident in that. Because before that game, I was kind of thinking, this guy, what if he's got everything but the football? And then after that game, I'm thinking, well, maybe, like the everything I thought he did have sort of been called into question by that very strange behaviour. And he does have some thinking to do. Like, do you remember, I think it was 2016, 17, when Chelsea won the league under Conte. And I think what happens is they get gubbed at Arsenal the week before the international break. And they're playing 4-3-3 or whatever. And Conte, I mean, I know this is ridiculous. Conte has a think about it. It's like, right, we're playing 3-4-3 now. And I mean, Conte always plays fucking 3-4-3, so it's weird to say like this is some kind of major development or anything. Mm-hmm. But
that was the moment, right?
And then they then go on a run and win like 15 games in a row or something ridiculous, and that basically blows everyone else away and they win the league. And I do think he needs to try and find a way, but at the same time, if we don't get him in midfield, it's not going to fucking matter, and he's going to end up. And that's what we were saying at the time. And when we were going for Baleba, I couldn't, even if it wasn't him, I was sitting here saying confidently, we're going to get someone, because the alternative is what we know the alternative is. Mm-hmm. That they end up having to fire this guy, perhaps, without ever really having given him the chance to succeed.
dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So then I'm doing IT, and when I go to plug the servers in, they become sentient, and they won't let us access our network unless we forward their chain emails and memes to more and more and more people, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant finds and invites best fit candidates to apply, so you can discover talent you may have missed. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
New Year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
I agree with both points, but the underlying point is his apparent lack of flexibility. He denies it over and over again.
Yeah,
it's not about formations and systems, it's about principles.
But even if it is, when did Jurgen Klopp play anything other than 4-3-3? Fergie played 4-4-2 for decades,
but then he did move with the times, yeah.
Well, only when he got found out on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like from 1986 until when? What would it have been? I guess.
Well, 2001. He then started.
2000 we lose to Madrid, and then 2001 we get shut down, and after 2001 that's when he signs Veron, goes to 5 in midfield.
Yeah.
So that's a long ass time, and it's not about like the teams, but when under Ten Hag, United used to get criticised. Don't know what they're trying to do. Don't know what the plan is. When here's a bloke with a plan, now you're saying we do the same thing every time. You can't have it both ways, which is to say that sometimes you can be flexible and that can be good, and sometimes you can play the same way every week and that can also be good. It's just the thing has to be good, and it isn't. And the problem isn't that his inflexibility. For me, it's that the system isn't that good at this point. And when we appointed him,
but isn't that the same thing? Isn't that the same thing? He won't adapt, and very predictable. Yeah,
that when Ten Hag, when what worked with the best team and the best players and the most money in their Eredivisie didn't work in England, he was fucked. He couldn't think of anything to do other than what we saw, which was a mess most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we said on this pod when Amoirim got the job that the one thing really that will define him, apart from like whether he gets the money that he needs or not, will be when what worked with Sporting is not completely transferable because it's a different league with different players and different standard of opposition, just harder games all the time. When it doesn't work, will he be able to modify the system? So far, the answer is no.
Yeah. And I think there's some great analysis out there from coaches and tacticos and us. Yeah, sometimes on exactly where the flaws are with this system. And it's not. I don't really think it's 3-4-3 versus 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 or whatever telephone number. It's the trade-offs and the compromises that every manager makes, the balance between risk and reward in each phase of play and each part of the pitch that you're looking for. And it's imbalanced and very predictable where the weaknesses is. And so far, he hasn't tried to adapt his system other than moving players around, which he's done. He's moved Bruno back. They made a decision in the summer to sign 2 10s and move Bruno back. And that was the decision, not to how do we get balance in the midfield here and the risks and the weaknesses that are going to be on show every single week.
We have seen changes, and then we've seen improvements, and then we've seen reversions to what was there before. But I don't know. I don't believe he's sitting there looking at it thinking, this is what I want it to look like.
No, I'm sure he's not.
But is he just looking at it saying, this is the players? And to a significant extent, he'd be right. It's the players in that they're either not doing the right things or they aren't good enough. That's true. But at the same time, the way he's trying to do it is also not working properly. And he needs to. I mean, with the attacking players we've got, we can win any game against anyone. And also, I think the fact that what our XG is, the amount of big chances we're creating, we're near the top of the league for big chances created, for XG, for all of that kind of stuff. And generally, when that is the case, you see that over the distance, that the team in question will more or less match up to that. So it is fair to notice that, but at the same time, I don't think teams are able to exploit us because they know what we're going to do, because we know what they're going to do more or less as well. It's that they exploit us because there are things in the system that are exploitable. There are things in any system that are exploitable, but the things in this system that are exploitable in the middle of the fucking pitch.
For sure, every analyst at every Premier League club will be able to identify United's weaknesses. We can do it, and they are exploitable. It is up to Amorim, the head coach, to adapt both over the longer term and game to game to the challenges that we're going to face, right? And I think the sense is we don't know how much he will adapt. He keeps saying he won't, basically. And that puts the ceiling on United.
Does he say that?
Well,
does he say that?
But he's asked about it every single press conference. And what he says is he kind of dismisses it. He dismisses the question. And I don't think this is great communication, actually, often, because he's like, basically, you stupid people don't understand. It's not about the system. It's about my principles. And when in principles, he means that divide the pitch up into the zones. Where are you supposed to be? It's very, very positional. Where are you supposed to be at this time in this phase of play where the ball is here and the opposition is here, right? So it is planned out in meticulous detail, and player quality is both their technical quality, but do they understand all of this, and will they execute on it? And his plan in the summer, and the club's plan, and because they agreed with him, was we're just going to get better players, right? And it will all be solved with get better players. And that creates the problem that I mentioned in the last pod. Miguel Delaney had his newsletter last week, said, hey, Liverpool looked at him, they thought he was a brilliant coach, they thought they'd have to spend £500 million in order to get the players that he would want to make it work. And probably United are going to spend £500 million to get the players that he wants to make it work. Is there an inherent ceiling to the team that he can produce or not, right? We don't know that yet, right? Will he solve the problems with just better players, or will he adapt his system to something that will work in England or not, right? So I don't know the question there. I suspect there's a ceiling, but if that ceiling is like third or fourth, that's fine, because you then get a different manager afterwards. If that ceiling is 8th because it's the Premier League and the quality goes right down to about 17th, after that might be a bit shit, then we have a problem, right? Fantastic win yesterday, but we are playing probably the team that will finish bottom. Maybe Leeds will challenge them for that.
What did you make of Mainoo yesterday?
I mean, I thought he played a very similar way. Well, interesting. He came on against Grimsby, did some very sensible things, recycled the ball, moved around. I thought he did pretty well there in a limited fashion. Yesterday, he pushed a bit higher up the pitch over time, and which was a little bit of a surprise. But again, used the ball reasonably well without doing anything particularly spectacular. It is interesting with him, like, where exactly do we want him to play? Because clearly Amorim doesn't want him in central midfield. I mean, the thing that precipitated the crisis was him saying in the press conference after Fulham, he's now challenging Bruno for one position, and that's just never going to happen. So I'm sure Mainoo and his camp were like, well, you need to get the fuck out because you are not going to be playing at all this season in the World Cup. Yeah. But how do they really want to use him? Because I don't think Amorim has decided if he's a 6 or an 8 or a 10. They don't really play with an 8 in this system, really. I mean, linking midfielders for midfield, because that's what he is, for midfields with 3 players, not for midfields with 2 players. That's a long way of saying I think he's got a problem. Mainoo under Amorim, that's not a surprise, and we'll always see limitations on what he can bring as a result.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that he started to drive us forward a bit yesterday.
That's what he's going to need to do.
And spreading the play a bit more.
That's what they've asked him to do as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Switch the play.
So I quite liked the fact that he was doing that. It wasn't a brilliant performance or anything, but I think also the problem Mainoo has is he's a small space player, but Amorim's midfield don't do that.
Yeah.
Because it's quite hard to put him in those situations where you're like, oh my God, how on earth has he come out of this with the ball? And at the same time, I couldn't possibly countenance selling him for a manager that I don't know is good yet.
Yeah, I think a lot of United fans had kind of perceived this in the wrong way. I mean, this is just my opinion. Everyone can disagree with me or whatever. Just please don't call me a cunt or send me death threats over DMs, which does happen.
That was me.
Yes. I've asked Dan. Dan, please stop. I think the problem is that the system exposes his flaws and doesn't exacerbate his strengths. And so some people will go, he's just not very good as a result. And I don't think that is. I think if you stuck him in a team that that narrows the space between players and plays those three in midfield, he looks very, very good at the very, very highest level. So you stick him, people call me ridiculous for this, you stick him in Barcelona's midfield, I think he just slots in and he looks perfectly at home there, because he would not be asked to either cover 40 to 50 yards of space in a zone defensively, or to, now that the team is extremely stretched, play those transitional progressive passes forward, which is, again, not the thing. It's the thing we've criticised him for since the beginning he came into the team. Can he adapt his game to play with a bit more progression? Because I think it would do him well.
And also, can he stop fading out of games?
Yeah.
In and out of games?
Yeah,
but,
that's very true. Yeah, and that is
part of me
position.
is kind of thinking, yeah,
that's position.
And that's something that feels like a bit of a coaching issue.
It is a coaching issue.
Part of me is going, we think he's good, but is it possible that Amoirim, who sees him every day, could get this so wrong? And we have to respect the fact that Amoirim knows more about football than we do and watches maybe play more often than we do. But at the same time,
and the other systems,
feels a little bit weird.
Very good.
Feels a little bit weird to go, sorry, Cobby, you're basically just not enough of a fucking donkey to play the number in midfield, which is sort of almost what we're saying.
Would you trade that off? I mean, this is the question, right? So he is. I think he's. Every time I've heard him speak, I think he's quite self-aware, Cobby Menu, right? And he kind of knows himself. Maybe it's his advisors pushing him to go away. Who knows? It's a massive agency. So with Jonathan Barnett, respectable name there, right? Is he thinking, yeah, there's no way I can ever shine in this system? They've told me this manager is around for the long term.
Yeah, him going on loan, saying, can I go on loan, is kind of saying, let me go and play in a World Cup year.
Yeah.
And by the time I come back, you might have fucked off, mate.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's sort of what it felt like.
And I'm certainly with you in that. As much as I like Amorim, I don't think I'll ever hate the guy because he's just personable and nice in the way that Ten Hag had just so little charisma. I just couldn't stand him by the end. So I don't think I'll ever dislike Amorim, but I'm not bought enough into this to go, yeah, I'm going to trade out good young players. Now, you can make the argument with Marcus Rashford not having played well for 2 years and his off-field problems.
And Garnacho.
And you make the argument with Garnacho being a bit of a dick and more arrogant than his ability should allow at this point, right? You could also make counter-arguments that either of them could do well in the rest of their careers. Who knows? We'll find out. With Cobby Mania, I'm certainly not at the position where I'll be like, yeah, bin him off because he'll never play well in this system, which I suspect there will always be limits because I believe in Amorim and I think he'll be here for the next 10 years. You know, if I was making that bet right now and I had to call one of them, which we're not at that situation yet, I would pick the player over the manager right now because I'm not convinced that it'll work out for Amorim at all. Why should we be? It's 8 wins in 46 games or whatever it is.
So. And are we? And the other thing is, like, am I totally convinced that Manu can't do what Casemiro's doing? No,
I that's not why I'd want.
I mean, he doesn't have a physical presence in both boxes, but are we saying Casemiro can do a better job of playing as a lone six than Manu? This Casemiro, I find that quite hard to believe.
Yeah, I would.
And we're seeing this thing, and it's fucking not working. We lost a European final to Spurs, creating almost nothing.
Yeah,
and obviously that's partly to do with we got better forwards now, but Casemiro and Bruno doesn't really work that well. It's not the future. So, yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing Manu told, and it's a bit of a waste of him if he was playing in Casemiro's role, but I'm far from. I don't see any reason he couldn't do it as well as Casemiro does it.
Yeah, it is a waste, but it again, like so much. I know it's like football tactico speak and modern football lingo and all of that, right? But profile the players in the right way, you get the best out of them. Like get the players, as many possible players. This is my other problem with Amorim's system is that, or the way Amorim is approaching this is that too many players compromised. Right, we're hoping that they're going to do well in these systems, in these positions, which is not exactly the best. Like, pick so many of them. I would prefer every single time, you make compromises and trade-offs, of course, I would prefer every single time to get Bruno as close to goal as possible. We're not going to see that much this season. I would prefer Ahmad to be in attacking positions as much as possible. Playing him at wing back will definitely limit that, right? And there's other players in the pitch as well. Like, is Luke Shaw the finest left-sided central defender we could have? I think he played a part, not the part, but a part in one of the goals we conceded yesterday as a result. And on and on and on. Like, you cannot play, at least he's worked this one out, you cannot play De Ligt and Maguire together in most games. It's just not going to work. Again, like, play the players where you're going to extract the most out of them. Don't make too many trade-offs because it leaves the team unbalanced.
Well, that's the thing, is we need wing-backs. One of the reasons Sporting was successful is because the wing-backs could attack. And also, if you think about when Spurs played wing-backs under Pochettino, they had two good ones on each side, because you have to put a hell of a lot in if you're going to play wing-back. Mm-hmm. And we don't necessarily have any that we think are good.
No, I mean, Dorgu's still a development project. I like some stuff.
He was
they had the
hooked at half-time.
Yeah.
No, he was hooked at half-time against Grimsby, and presumably he wasn't, because he was the one who the manager was most pissed off with. Now, that's quite an achievement, given how much he must have wanted to devastate all of them. And that's why I think he didn't start yesterday. But we don't have necessarily even one wing-back that is good enough.
Mm. Yeah, and
the role's so key.
It's so key in this system. It's almost the key role. And yeah, absolutely. We've got a development project in Dorgu. Dallo, who is shit going either way. He cost us. Yeah. He's played a part in Foster's goal yesterday. Obviously got caught with the ball against Fulham. He offers absolutely nothing going forward. Our other options are Ahmad, who offers a lot going forward, and I'm interested in how that balance with Mbeumo will look. Mbeumo cutting inside and Ahmad going on the outside and exploiting that space. Defensively, we know that he will leave gaps, and he was against Fulham constantly out of position on corners at the back post, constantly, which is a problem. And so, yeah, another compromise. Anyway, God, we've done an hour of this. Daniel, we should just round up what's going on in the transfer market. We talked about Garnacho. Are we happy with 40 million as a fee? I mean, it's 40 million of free money, right? But it feels like 15 million less than it should have been in this market. And the reasons are he made it a one-club market and we bombed him out and so had no leverage. And there's some baggage there. I actually don't think that figures into the price particularly, but 10 to 15 million lower than it should have been.
Yeah. It's definitely shy. But
if Noni Madueke's 52 plus bonuses,
and he's not Amari Hutchinson
just a bit below, and fucking Elanga at 55. We know what he is like.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, it was short, but it's done.
It's done. It's over. I mean, it does. I mean, the reason why it matters is it limits United's spending ability on the other side, right? At some point, right? That's the only reason it matters. And then Højlund at, well, it's going to be 38 plus 4, 42, 43 is about par on book value, depending on exactly how it's calculated. We'll go into forensic detail in the finance pod, but it depends. I suspect that only half of the add-ons that Atalanta were owed have actually been realised, not the other half, because that would have been Champions League qualification. So just about on par. I mean,
he could do well. Højlund.
Yeah,
and also we don't, his striking option, we don't have many. I was quite surprised on at that point that it was Xerxes that came on yesterday when Cunha went off. But I think they're still saying that Šeško might have had cramp because
he's not fit yet, I guess.
And Xerxes, I mean, we see it, that he's got some lovely touches, and he is quite a useful option to have on the bench, I think, because he's something that's a bit different. He just doesn't seem to want to score.
He does not. He is Cunha's first reserve, I guess, or him, Mount and Cunha will all play in that sort of position. The goalkeeper situation, I mean, there's stories today, they are bidding on both Lamens and Emi Martinez. Martinez has a bunch of options as well. It feels like Galatasaray, Aston Villa and Manchester United are all going after the same goalkeepers, or maybe that's just agent talk to try and create a bidding war. How do you feel about a 32-year-old we know very well, we know will make mistakes, because he does. He has a fucking brain fart once every 3 games, not once every game at least, versus a kid that has never been tested at the highest level but has amazing data.
Yeah,
okay. I mean, if we care about that, and some YouTube comps, he looks all right.
Yeah, I can't have an opinion about that. I mean, I've not seen enough, but coming in and hoping that he'll be good seems quite a big risk.
Yep.
And it might be that Martinez is just exactly the kind of arsehole that could be good at United.
Did you see Radel Vivek's save yesterday for Bristol City?
I did.
Gordon Banks-esque, going down low to his right. Good save. Apparently
it was a good save. Well. Yeah. So I think if I was the manager, I'd be wanting Martinez, but
feels lower risk. I mean, we know he makes mistakes, and he will do that.
I mean, all keepers do, but it's not just about the keeping; it's also organising the defence, which you would assume he'll be better at than Lemons. Yeah. And I feel like the defenders would probably rather it was him.
Probably
they'll probably feel more secure with him behind us. You got. Yeah, he's won the World Cup. He's been crucial to the winning of a World Cup, and that gives him some gravitas, I imagine, amongst the rest of the players.
Price will matter, because if it's north of 20 million, that's a hell of an investment. Presumably he's on a big wage already and would want final payday, a substantial wage if his other options are Turkey or Saudi Arabia, which will be significantly more. So does he really, really want to close out his career at United? Does he want to do a Van der Sar? But we got him for 2 million quid if it's north of 20, and for a short-term contract, that starts to look quite expensive.
I would be surprised if Martinez went to Saudi or Galatasaray if he had the option of United. That it doesn't strike me as that kind of individual. And also, like, what do you say? He's 32. I mean, you should get if he's good, you just get as in if you don't have to then replace him again, you should get 5 years out of him. So, I think I'm not concerned that he's that age.
Yeah. All right. And before we go, women's team. They beat PSV 4-0 in the first qualifying round, and they beat Hammersby 1-0, a very tight game in what they called the final second qualifying round. It's just bonkers, this system, and they are playing Brann in the third qualifying round. I think that's it, and then they would be into the group phase of the Women's Champions League.
Yeah, you'd expect them to sort that out from here.
Yeah, they've made some decent signings this summer. United women's fans are making a lot of complaints that it's not enough, which it probably is not enough to bridge the gap to Chelsea, Arsenal and City.
Because you see Arsenal going away, you see what Arsenal are doing, and it's just funded in a completely different way, isn't it?
Yeah. The world record transfer fee has been broken 3 times in the past year, which is a reflection of the amount of money that's in the women's game at the moment. The budget has not been increased at United, I don't think. There does not appear to be much focus on it. There we go. I mean, they have a ceiling until that budget is changed. But qualifying for the Women's Champions League will make some difference to that financial outlook. I think that's it, Daniel.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. We'll be back for the Tactics Pod tomorrow.